When I signed up for the Diplomatic Exploration Corps, I expected alien planets, weird politics, and maybe a few bar fights in zero-G. I didn't expect to become the object of affection for an imperial alien princess who just declared that I was now her consort and refused to let me leave the planet. Let me back up. My name is Lieutenant Adrian Cole. I'm a cultural liaison for the United Terran Accord, basically a glorified anthropologist with a side job in diplomacy. My latest assignment was to accompany Ambassador Rice to the capital world of the Zavrati Empire, one of the oldest and most mysterious alien empires in the Orion Arm. The Zavrati are a proud species, tall, vaguely feline, four-armed, and with eyes that glow in the dark like burning coals. They're not hostile, just imperial in the classic sense. They think in dynasties and bloodlines, and every conversation feels like a ritual. We were invited to witness the coronation of their new empress. Her predecessor had died, assassination though no one said it aloud, and the heir apparent was Princess Kalira Zevran, daughter of the late empress and youngest of the imperial brood. When I first saw her, she was standing on the marble dais of the Skyfire spire, dressed in ceremonial armor etched with the history of her lineage. She was unlike the rest of the Zavrati, shorter, more human-sized, with only 2 arms instead of 4. Rumor was she was half-human, a scandalous union that nearly ripped the empire in 2 decades ago. And yet here she was, the new empress. And then she looked at me. Out of the entire human delegation, her gaze landed on me. Her glowing amber eyes widened. She tilted her head the way their kind did when curious. I thought nothing of it at first. Maybe she was fascinated by Terran uniforms or thought my beard was strange. That was the beginning of my problems. 2 days later I received a summons. Not from the ambassador, not from command, from the imperial court itself. That's not normal. The empress speaks to other heads of state or, at best, high-ranking diplomats. I was a middle-grade officer with a specialization in xenosociology. Her Radiant Majesty has taken a liking to you, the courtier told me with a fong-toothed smile. I was ushered into the royal gardens, an expansive biosphere filled with bioluminescent flora and winged creatures the size of cats. Kalira waited there, dressed not in armor but in a flowing robe that shimmered like liquid sapphire. "You are not like the others," she said, voice rich with curiosity. "They look at me with fear or awe. You looked confused." "Respectfully, Your Radiance," I replied, trying to keep my cool. "I was just doing my job." "You are modest. I like that." She smiled, and I realized with a strange jolt that her teeth were perfectly human. No fangs. No alien sharpness. "I have read of your people. Independent. Resilient. You are survivors." The conversation lasted an hour. Then another the next day. And the next. I told her about Earth, about our oceans and our food and our music. She laughed at my jokes. She taught me how to speak Zavrati properly, correcting my terrible accent. I showed her old Terran poems. She gave me a necklace carved from a moonstone known to reflect one's true feelings. I told myself this was diplomacy, good relations, harmless curiosity, until she announced it to the entire court. "I have chosen my consort," she said. "I choose Adrian Cole of Terra. He will remain by my side." Panic doesn't begin to cover what I felt. The court erupted in a mix of gasps, murmurs, and outright shouting. A dozen noble houses probably plotted my assassination within minutes. The ambassador nearly had a stroke. "This isn't how any of this works," he hissed at me later. "We'll be thrown into a diplomatic nightmare. You need to refuse." Tried. I stood before Kalira the next day and told her, as gently as I could, that I couldn't stay. That I was a soldier, not royalty. that Earth needed me. Her eyes dimmed, and for a moment, I saw the cracks in her composure. You think I don't need you? She asked quietly. You think this empire does not require allies who see the world differently? You believe I chose you for sentiment alone? That stung. I had believed, foolishly, that maybe this was about more than politics. But then she added, I do care for you, Adrian. But I also trust you. More than my own blood. And I will not let you go. I was placed under what they called protective watch. Which meant I wasn't a prisoner, not officially, but I couldn't leave the palace grounds. My messages were delayed or rerouted. Every time I asked for a ship home, I was told the Empress needed more time. I was stuck. A diplomatic hostage wrapped in the silken chains of affection. Months passed. I'd be lying if I said I hated it. The palace was beautiful. Kalira treated me with kindness, respect, and yes, affection. We grew close. Her intelligence was razor sharp. Her loneliness palpable. Every night we sat beneath the twin moons and spoke of life, of choices, of fate. But I wanted my freedom. Then the rebellion hit. One of the outer houses launched a coordinated strike against the capital. Bombs, sleeper agents hacked defenses. It was chaos. The palace went into lockdown. And somehow, I was the only one who noticed that one of the servants in the gardens was armed and headed toward Kalira's chambers. I intercepted him. We fought. Barely won. He was stronger, faster. But I knew how to fight dirty, how to use terrain. By the time palace guards arrived, I was covered in blood. His and mine. Kalira was safe. When she saw me, broken and bruised, something in her cracked. You protected me, she whispered. I always would, I said. Even if I'm angry. Even if I want to go home. She knelt beside me, touching my cheek. Then I must let you go. A cage, even gilded, is still a cage. You saved my life. I will not keep yours hostage. I returned to Earth 2 weeks later. The media exploded. Alien Empress interspecies romance. Human diplomat wins royal heart. It was a circus. I stayed away from the cameras. I tried to move on. I accepted a teaching post at a university, lecturing on xenopolitics. I kept the moonstone necklace. And then 1 year later she arrived. Not with an armada. Not with threats. With a single sleek diplomatic ship bearing the imperial sigil. She stepped out dressed in Terran clothes. Jeans, a jacket, even sunglasses. The cameras lost their minds. But she walked past them, eyes locked on me. I abdicated, she said simply. My half-brother will rule. He is wise. I taught him to be. I have served my empire. What now? I asked, breath caught in my throat. She smiled. Now I serve us.